afternoon, my lovelies. How are you? I hope you are well this week. Today we're making rainbow cookie tarts now with cheesecake mousse. So what am I making? It is a rainbow sprinkle jimmies let me back up. Rainbow jimmies. It depends on what part of the country you're from, sprinkles or jimmies. I call them jimmies. I'm from Philly. So I'm making cookie dough, then I'm going to shape it, and then I'm going to make cheesecake mousse, which is no-bake cheesecake mousse, and fill the cookie tarts after they're baked. So I'm not focusing on making the cookies. Use any cookie dough that you like. This is the ratios of a drop cookie dough. So any drop cookie, that's where you use 2 spoons like the Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie recipe. You can definitely use those because I'm going to show you 2 ways to shape them once they're baked. But you have, one is before they're baked, the other is as soon as it comes out of the oven, you have to do something to it. And you may know this, but some that don't, we're going to go over it. And I'm going to show you, though, how to make the cheesecake filling, which is a mousse, because it's mixed with whipped cream. So what is a mousse? A mousse is basically you have a filling and you fold it in with whipped cream. That makes it a mousse. It's nice and fluffy, generally speaking. It's nice and fluffy, it's light, it's flavorful, it's not heavy, but cheesecake is going to make it a bit heavy. Cream cheese, my favorite on the whole planet, next to dark chocolate. The whipping of the heavy cream will allow the cheesecake part of the no-bake cheesecake part of the filling to be lighter. Therefore, you can pipe it with a bit more ease, and it is a lighter, sort of a lighter filling, complements the heaviness of the cookie. I don't find cookies heavy, whatever. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So it's a rainbow cookie, but it's rainbow jimmies inside of the cookie dough. It's folded in, and then a no-bake cheesecake mousse that is going to be piped in as a filling, and then some sprinkles on. I'm converting the recipes to low sugar. Now, they're not sugar-free because of the jimmies inside. They're not sugar-free. You can get sugar-free jimmies. I don't have any. And this is quite a few techniques involved, not the cookie dough. I'm pretty sure all of you are pretty familiar with cookie dough, but if you're not, I'll give the measurements, right? And then I'm going to pipe in, we're gonna play with some tips. I hate certain tips, but I'm gonna force myself to use them. Now, it may give me problems because of the sprinkles inside, but that's why I'm here, is to show you how to fix something and why it's going wrong. So it's something you may not think about when you find a recipe, like, oh, I wanna try this. But then there's a whole bunch of things going on when you're making it. You're like, what is going on? How am I gonna fix it? So that's what we're doing. That's what I aim to show you so that you can fix your bakes and turn them into lovely treats. Because I have my oven on, it's preheating. So always before you start scaling your ingredients, turn on your oven is the first thing. Grab all your equipment and your tools. So I've made my cookie dough, oopsie, already. See if I can get this to cooperate. And I have 2 ways to bake these puppies. I'm gonna use a regular muffin tin that's been sprayed. And this is the one that I'll show you how to turn into a tart shell-ish, a cup, once it's baked. But this one, we're going to sandwich the dough in between, squeeze it into the shape, and bake it like this. This is a little tart case. I have one that's sprayed and one that's not, so put your dough in the one that's sprayed so it doesn't stick. It probably won't because of the ratio of butter, but you want it to release, so we're gonna let these cool. And I'm gonna put them in my blast chiller that I don't have, so that means it's the freezer. That's a dig at my husband. I always tease him. And so that you're not watching paint dry and we can get moving, and you can see what happens between the 2, the one that's pressed later and the one that's pressed before baking. And I'll make the mousse. Okay. So I have my dough, I folded in my sprinkles. This is a really nice ratio. This is almost room temp and it's still pretty stiff, but again, watch how much flour you add with all things that include flour, which is everything, almost. You don't wanna activate the gluten, so you don't wanna beat the crap out of it, but that's why you fold certain things in so that you don't activate the gluten. And it's been resting, so I'm okay. These are not gonna be tough anyway because they're probably gonna sag in here, but I wanted to show you anyway. So what have we got? For the cookie dough, we have 160 grams of all-purpose flour, 2 grams of baking soda, that's the first leavener, 4 grams of salt, 113 grams, which is 1 stick, 1 stick plus, unsalted butter. You can use salted if you want, just reduce the salt. 161 grams of granulated sugar. Now I'm using something new. I usually use this Swerve, but I bought a new one. This is new on the market, Splenda. Now, I'm not getting into opinions about which brand, but sometimes this one has a weird taste. I like Splenda. You do you. If you want to use regular sugar, then you it's 3/4 of a cup of regular granulated sugar. Then 1 large egg at room temp, 6 grams of clear vanilla. Mine is yellow, so it's not clear. I'm using Mexican vanilla, which is pretty brown. Now, because of clear vanilla will give you obviously a whiter dough so that you can see your sprinkles, but it's too late. I use Mexican because that's the one I reach for. And 50 grams of sprinkles, or jimmies. Not the non-Perels, they're tougher. You can use them if that's all you have, but just the long jimmies, they melt easier, right? So that's why some recipes calls for jimmies, some for non-Perels. You can use whatever you like. This is what I happen to have, so that's what I'm using. We'll get to the cheesecake mousse later, but I want to get cracking on this because my oven is on and I want to show you what's happening and see how it goes. So 3 tablespoon scoop. I don't know. This is one I use for cupcakes. So unceremoniously, make sure you put it in the one that's treated. And just popping it in there because like drop cookies, they spread. So our leaveners are the, what was it? The egg, of course, and the baking soda. So that's something you want to be mindful of, your ratios of leaveners. But because I need the form, I'm using this. So I'm going to let them just do their thing. Probably need a few more, so I'll keep this nearby. Now, obviously, this is going to be too much because it's going to squeeze out. I forgot the lights again. Sheesh. Oh my goodness. I'm having one of those days. It's like a second Monday, for goodness sake. And this is going to be too much, so it's going to squeeze out the top. So I'm not so worried about how much I'm putting in there because I'm going to let the tart case, decide for me. So I'm just going to plop it in and then squeeze it. Should probably spray the back of that. And not too much. Try and even it out. And then scoop out the excess. You don't want it falling over the tin, so I'm just scooping off the excess that goes up the top, the excess. And I'm going to bake it just like this. So this will puff up. It'll probably squeeze out. But that's why I have a baking tray. Let's do it again. This is not my regular recipe ratios, but I modified it. So modifying recipes, as we know from previous experiments, changes the constitution of the cookie dough. What's the constitution? The outcome. Now, I could freeze these. I don't need to. They're drop cookies. So I'm not worried about keeping their shape, but that's why I am putting this tart shell on top. Tart tin. I sprayed the wrong side. No problem. Just spread it around the bottom. And now, I'm going to use my hands. Make a time for that. Try and line up the tart tins and just squeeze it down. Clean it up. Because you don't want it over the lid, the edge of the bottom tin. It will spill out and bake over. Then you're going to have broken cases. You know, putting my hands in stuff bothers me. Inside. No. Now this set just came with different shapes. It does not matter which one you use. I think they're fun. I love shaped things, so I'm just using a bunch. Of course, this is too much too. Fun part about this is that you don't have to measure it. You just have to make sure you have enough. Otherwise, just put the extra in a regular cupcake tin. And that's pretty thin. So that's going to bake less than those are, but we'll get there. Now this is need refrigeration. It's getting really sticky. But you can go fairly fast with these. If you have enough tins, I have, I think 100. I am not making 100 cookies. But if I found that I like this and it turns out, then I might offer it because I think it's a really cute receptacle. Normally you put pie dough in here and you bake them. And you have to squish it down. You have to make sure it's cold before you bake it. Just checking. I have a little gap there. You can push some down in there. It's not really going to go because of the jimmies, but it's kind of ish. So this will sink down because it is not cold before it's baked. It will sink down and fill the crevices and probably spill out, but we're going to see. Now I'm not too worried also about evenness because again, it is moldable as soon as it comes out of the oven, but you have a really small window of opportunity here. So I'll pop these in and finish up the others. Alexa, set a 6-minute timer. So, do the rest. It's quite a few. My one quarrel with this is the bowl sides are really deep. I can't get my wrist in there. And you see what I'm doing without looking at a blurry image. So bear with me, please. Now, if you notice, I'm doing the centers. Those take longer to bake, but because they're separated cup cavities, they should bake evenly, but I'm using my convection oven. So it blows across the top and actually it heats up the corner ones quicker and it burns the edges. So get to know your oven so that you know which cavities to fill up first and which ones you have to watch, right? Now I'm stuck at the end, so I have probably 2 more, maybe 3. good thing about shaping it after it's baked is you don't have to worry about precision now. So you can go fairly quickly with this. I'm always awkward because of the angle of the camera right here. You know me, you gotta scrape the bowl. I'm gonna add it to something else. I just got more. The recipe called for. So I got more volume. I may have whipped my butter a little longer, but that's okay. You could even use half this size scoop. This is a 3 tablespoon scoop. I don't know the technical measurement. I think it's OXO, but just get one with a good spring action. I won't give you any fuss. That is half a cookie. This is a great spatula for the job. I need a wee one. Because I want to get these in the oven. Because these are going to take longer to bake than the tart shells, which is fine. Tart tins. See, it catches on the little hook there, the screw. It's fine. Then we have the cookie dough done. Now we're going to get on to the mousse, cheesecake mousse. I'm cleaning my hands. So I'm going from raw dough to dough. So I clean my hands and I have all my ingredients scaled. This is the glass I'm going to use for squeezing down and shaping the cupcake liner. And then I have, where's my other bowl? Oh, so yeah, lots to talk about for this one. So the cheesecake mousse is, I didn't measure them out. Did I write them down? Yes, I did. 113 grams, which is 4 ounces, half cup of heavy whipping cream, 4 ounces of cream cheese, which is, I only use Philadelphia brand, so that's half a block. I have 30 grams of, oh, sorry, this is 4 ounces, which is the same, 113 grams, 30 grams of sour cream. You don't have to use the sour cream. If you put it in your cheesecake batter anyway, it gives it a nice tang, I find, and it's, that's how I eat my cheesecake. You don't have to do it that way, but that's what I do. So I add sour cream, 30 grams, about 1/8 of a cup. And then I'm using the powdered sugar of Swerve, because Splenda didn't make any, and I don't like how the Splenda fine powder makes it ends up, the ratios are way off, and I just haven't got time to figure it out. So it's just for me to eat. This is what I eat. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which is 6 grams, and then about 1/4 cup of sprinkles and some for garnish. You don't have to use any sprinkles in your cream cheese filling. You can just put them on top, and I might do that because I mentioned these tips that I'm using. These are Russian ball tips. Your Alexa, stop timer. Your buttercream or whatever you're piping has to be super stiff. And then it's it gets caught. The jimmies are going to get caught. You have to twirl it. Sure, it looks great if you get it to work right, but it works better with a nice fluffy meringue buttercream. Not so much this one, but we'll see how much we can whip it. So I'm going to use, this is a Wilton 1E. It's a super closed star tip. The 1M that I usually use for all mine just has less ridges, or these prongy things. So I'm using one with more prongs. Let me check on the cookies. The first batch. I don't think they'll be done, but you never know. Oh yeah, they rose. Rise, rose, arise, and they're brown. Ooh, these are cute. I have to move my stuff because it's gonna burn. Not my plastic. I need to be that quick. So these are funny. They worked. So I squeezed it in. I don't know if you can see that, and it released. But now I have a shape. Not too much of a cup, so I could squeeze this in a little more. But I have to worry about my ridges. So make sure you line it up again. And it's soft. So let this cool with the top tin on it so that it retains its shape. And I can still give it a squeeze. This one is debatable, but they're still gonna cook. Whoops. They're going to still cook while they're in these tins. It's called residual heat, residual baking. So I push it down because it rose because of the baking soda in the recipe and the egg. But I'm pushing it down a little bit just to compact it and get that shape, cup shape, right? So yeah, that's worked pretty well. And it did not overflow too much. Let's see if you can see it on the side. Worked out perfectly. No idea how much was in there. Don't care. Because by the time you measure it out and fuss with it, you just plunk it in and rip it off like I did. You know, scrape it off the edge of the bottom tin. And I knew it would rise a little bit, but it didn't overflow because of the ratio of flour was in there. It was pretty good. Now, if I had had more butter and not enough flour, it certainly would overflow. Like a chocolate chip cookie has a high ratio of butter and sugar to flour because they're meant to spread and they're pretty thin, which I don't like them. But just be aware if you use that recipe. So, cheesecake mousse. Back. I have a few minutes, 4 minutes on that one, so we'll get cracking on some of it. So I have 113 grams of heavy whipping cream, 30 grams of sour cream. That's optional. You don't have to use it. 113 grams of half a block of cream cheese, Philly brand cream cheese, 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. Ooh, yeah, which turns out to be, excuse me, quarter cup of sugar, which is 35 grams. If it's the Swerve brand of powdered sugar, right? And then a bit of vanilla if you like, and more sprinkles. So we're gonna fold those in to some of it. So if I have this tip, they're not gonna come out, they're gonna get stuck in here. So I'm going to forgo the sprinkles and just sprinkle them on top. So yeah, we have our ingredients. Now, the trick to mousse, which is, as I explained before, it is heavy whipping cream that has been whipped. You can put sugar in it, you don't have to, but it'll whip on its own because it has an agent in it to whip it. That's why it's called heavy whipping cream as opposed to heavy cream. You get more lightness out of it and more whipping. The key to a good whipped cream is a cold bowl, and a cold whisk attachment. So I put them in my freezer before I started, and they're nice and cold. So these are metal. I mean, you can even put plastic in there, but plastic is not gonna, you have to be careful. If you put plastic in the freezer, it will break, just like on my focaccia. So I need an extra bowl because I have to put this whipped cream into a separate bowl because I'm gonna use the same bowl to whip the other ingredients. Now, as I didn't mention on the cookie recipe, have all of your typically cold ingredients at room temperature will emulsify easier and more thoroughly. You won't get clumps of things stuck together. So put in the whisk on. You're not gonna be able to see it, but anyway. And these are all cold. Conversely, in the mousse filling, you need them cold, but this cream cheese is thicker, so I would do that at room temp because you can always chill it. So the cold of the, this is a bit cooler than room temp. The cold of the heavy cream is important because, and the bowl to get you nice light whipped cream. All right, so I'm whipping the heavy whipping cream, as you can see. Well, it's not whipping too well. Probably because it's hot. Actually, my cookies are almost done, so I'll have to move stuff again. There it goes. Now, watch your whipping cream. It'll seem like forever before it starts to whip, and then all of a sudden it'll be whipped. You're like, well, turn your head and it's whipped. And if you over whip it, you can break it, but there's nothing else in it, so just let it warm up and re-whip it. This is pretty good. This is not stiff peaks because there's nothing in it to help. Soft peaks. So it could go a little longer. But because I'm limited on space, the heat from the cookies coming out in a minute will interfere with this. There it goes. Alexa, stop timer. That's better. That is almost over whipped, but I don't care because I'm going to add it to my cream cheese. So set that aside. I'm going to put it in another bowl because in just a second, I'm going to beat the heck out of the cream cheese, but I have to get these out. I have to show you what's happening. Before the cookie cups get too cold, we'll call them tarts, elevate them a bit. They're still in the oven. Before they get cold, you have to shape them. Otherwise, you miss your window of opportunity. So take a glass, pop them in there, and squeeze around. These are a little overdone. And this is a little too big, so let me get my tart case for cheaper. This is Pampered Chef. And, ooh, these are gummy. These are not done. Don't like this recipe. But they'll also cook, but these are not done, so they have to go back in. So the temperature's too hot because they're browning. And they're not cooking in the center. Now you can use a spoon. Sometimes you get better shapes with a spoon. All you need is a tiny little cup shape to hold your filling. And you don't even need that. You just pipe it on top because you just cover the whole thing. But these have to cool. So we're gonna work with the tart cases. Those are cooling because those are done. These are going back in. Turn it back on. How annoying. Alexa, set a 3-minute timer. I'm only putting it on for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Now, proceed with our mousse because our tart cases are cooling, even though they have the lid on top. So I'll pop this into another bowl because I want to use this mixing bowl. I thought I had a third one. I don't know what happened to it. I'm going to get my cream cheese in here first because I want to whip it. I'll beat it, and it's going to take the paddle. Don't use your whisk because it's going to bend it. Trust me, I know. So I'm going to switch to a paddle, and I have one with scrapers because I like to clean the sides of the bowl. I'm going to pop this in. All right, I'm going to, can you see that? Slow at first till it moves around. You can see what's going on here. And then turn it up. Don't just slap it up and slap it off. You will strip your gears of your motor. But again, this is not a whole lot in the bowl. So you see it's sticking to the sides. Well, I gotta scrape it up. So it's not really helping. It's getting the middle bit, but it's not getting the edges. I find that super annoying. But I didn't double it to show you what happens. It's annoying. All right, got my other ingredients. Powdered sugar, vanilla, sour cream, and my whipped heavy cream. So I'm waiting for this. It's not really anything. So I'm gonna have to scrape it down. But when I add the other ingredients in here, it's gonna help. But do scrape it down. Somewhere during the time you see it, this is cold. That's why you need to keep the, this is a lot to keep track of. The only thing that is warmed up a little bit to room temp is the heavier ingredient, which is the cream cheese. It's fairly dense, and you want to, Alexa, stop timer, emulsify with the other ingredients. So as soon as you introduce cold to this cream cheese, it's gonna seize up on you. So just be aware of that. This one, mousse is tricky. It's very finicky. Don't make it on a hot summer day, unless you like have Arctic conditions in your house. There's a way to stabilize it, but typically mousse is finicky. Then you add gelatin to stabilize it, but then you get into the problem of being too gelatinous, too thick. So I like doing it this way. Yeah, that could use with some more whipping. I'm gonna show you, see if my whisk will catch it, but I think it's just not enough in the bowl. And these paddles don't always reach the bottom. I change mine so that it does, but it just takes longer. Ooh, my cups. Don't forget about your cups, cookie cups. You have to chill. So I'm gonna turn this on and get my cookie cups out. Yeah, these are toasty. And you see they puffed up a bit more. So I lost the definition. So now for ease of removing those from the cupcake tin, you can put them in paper cases. I do that a lot. Cupcake papers, cupcake wrappers, those are fun. But they don't always release, even though there's a lot of butter in there. Now we're getting somewhere. Get some sour cream in there. Loosen it up a little. Vanilla and powdered sugar. I also don't sift it. Oh, I cleaned off my mixer. I sanitized it before I went to the ready-to-eat ingredients. If you pour in your ingredients and you get flour on it, now you've used the same mixer to use ready-to-eat ingredients. You've introduced raw flour into your ready-to-eat ingredients, and those with the autoimmune deficiencies or issues, you got to be careful. So be aware. So that emulsified nicely. The sour cream helped to loosen up the, actually really nice. Loosen up the cream cheese. So, it's a vanilla bean, yummy. So now I'm going to add the whipped cream back in. And I'm going to mix them. It's best to fold them, but I'm going to use the whisk because I'm lazy. Doesn't always pay to be lazy, but who's got time for that? Now that I have more volume in here, I don't have to worry about scraping up the bottom and the sides so often. Sorry, I take the time and do this. So tempted to eat this. All right, let's bring these so-and-so's back. See if I can get a shape in them. My mousse has moved over. Spoon. This one is all distorted because that wasn't cooked. Now it's cooked. It's kind of like a brookie, a blondie, blookie. A blondie and a brownie. Excuse me, blondie and a cookie. Blookie. So now I have a little cavity to put my cream cheese mousse in, even though it'll be on top, that's fine. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna take this. This one's definitely cooked. Colors, even in the brown. Eat it. Yeah, that actually is like a blondie cookie cake. Yum. I'd make a big one of that. Ooh, hot. Ooh, that was good. Yum. Good choice. Oopsie. With the Splenda. Okay, let's see what you're gonna do. So you could fold it in. But I do want a little bit more height into it. So I'm going to use the active ingredients in the whipping cream to help, even though I've already beat them. I'm going to try it again. Ouch. Backward whisk. So now it's not cold. You could put this in the fridge, but again, it's going to make the cream cheese seize up. I kind of want that for piping, but not really. Gently. Emulsifying nicely. Hope you can see that. Oh yeah, some coming out. Now, as hypnotic as it is to watch, don't overdo it. You'll split the heavy cream with the other ingredients. It won't curdle, not like buttercream can or meringue, but it'll start to turn clumpy. And it'll go too far and be the opposite of what you want. Baking science is finicky. Chemistry is too. So that is beautiful. So I'm not going to fold in. This would be the time you fold in your jimmies if you're going to add them for more rainbowness. Clean that later. Clean that later. Get it out of me way. Ooh, I left a bit on there. Here's a taste. Yum, yum. Oh, cheesecake. Cheesecake. So I wouldn't get a giant bag, but just enough so you can hold it. I can hold it in my giant hands. So, which tip? So cup it over fairly long so you're not fighting with it later. And you can get a good amount down in there. Ooh, I gotta put this in the fridge because I forgot to take out my cookie cups. I'm gonna put it in the freezer. And these are fairly cool already. So I'm gonna get them out. They need to be cold, otherwise they're gonna break. Just pop them in the freezer. Fine. So the ball tip's out. Good. Well, not really. Okay, well, fine. Let's use it. Fine. I hate them. I'm gonna hate them, but I'm trying not to because I don't like the word hate. Okay, so this one has a flower in the center. I don't know what it's gonna do, but I'm gonna use that one because I'm digging flowers this year. And if all else fails, we'll go to trusty old Wilton 1E. They cool down pretty quick. Let's see how I get them out. All right, let's do it. Getting a cooling grid. They pop out. Oops, all but one. They didn't smash too bad because they're pretty caramelized from the, I don't want to call it fake sugar because it's actually natural sugar. Granulated sugar is refined, so technically it's fake. I'm gonna eat this one. I'm gonna save some for my ruffle one. Yummy. So this is excuse me, a double bag. And as you can see, you have to cut off quite a bit. So you need a pretty long bag. So this is the double bag, so okay. But you need to cut off enough so this bubble gets through it, but not too much that the whole thing pops out. So let's see how that works. I haven't used these in a long time. I don't like them too much. You could squeeze it gently. And then, there you go. So that was, what, 2 inches? Now I should probably have used the thicker mill bags. I didn't think of it till just now because I'm gonna put the other bag right inside. Let's get it done. So I've done it backwards. You really should use a thicker mill for the harder, bigger tube because you don't want this to pop out of the thinner milled bags. Whatevs. So I'm not gonna helicopter it because I need a whole bunch cut off. So I want it to sit down in the other bag, right? So close off the first one. Do yourself a favor. Close off the first one before you pop it in. Bend it over or fold it over. And then stuff it down in there, but close it because it will pop open again. Clip. You can see the clip. It's already started coming out. Fine. Okay. You work with it. Now, let's see if you can see this. Squeeze. Turn. And it gives you nice ruffles. Stop squeezing. Pull up. It's a nice flower. Okay, it works. So my, it's not buttercream. Its filling is quite cold. That one didn't work so well. You probably didn't see it. Let's try it from the side. Squeeze. Lift up a little bit. Stop squeezing. Pull it up to break it. And you get a nice bit of ruffles. Now these are still warm. This is gonna melt all over the place. So I'm gonna stop there. But you get the idea. I'm giving you ideas. So it's not touching the cookie. That's squeezing, pull up. So they do kind of collapse, but the heat, residual heat is coming up from the bottom. That's what's happening. Oh, thought you were in there. I wondered where the tray was. Holy smokes. I need another pan. All right, so I'm gonna get these into the freezer really quick because I want to flash freeze them so they don't melt and lose their shape. So they're cute. A little sprinkle action on it. In the center, they look like flowers or ruffles. But that's what I was going for, is the flowers. So that one you can't see. The center flower of the tip helped a little bit, but this needs to be super cold for you to get definition. So if you want to use them, make sure whatever you're piping is super cold. I'll pop these into the freezer too. I have my other ones to see if they release. So meanwhile, this is gonna get a taste of this. Oh yeah. I love cream cheese. Oh gosh, so good. Okay. Well, I never met a block of cream cheese I didn't like, except for the brand, off-brand. So I'm gently squeezing, not too much because it's gonna start to crack, to try and get this to release. Not releasing. So if you have a tiny seafood fork or an olive fork or a little scribe, cookie scribe, you can stick it up in there to get it to release. Do it on both sides. Then try the ends before you try and take it all out. Because the parts that you don't know are releasing, they'll break. So it's kind of releasing, it's stuck somewhere. And that's the difficulty. When you use pie dough with these, this is not an issue because there's so much butter on here, it just, sort of slides right out. But because there's sugar in here, even though it's sugar alternative, it's stuck. Because this is heavier down the bottom, thicker. See, I'm breaking it. I'm trying to release it. It's almost there. Those are still in the oven. For goodness sake. Crispy critters. Oh, these will release. Now, I could try and get these out while they're still warm. Let me cool them a little bit. Go back to here. I'll let them sit for a minute. Good to know that the alternative sugar, the Splenda, caramelized nicely. I don't get that nice reaction from the Swerve product. Oops, I broke it. It's stuck somewhere. I just love these shapes, but not necessarily for cookies. Now, you could roll it out and bake it on top, but we didn't. Experiment if you like. Report back. It's an interesting smell. These are really caramelized, and it's almost a nutty smell to it. It's quite nice. Why are you stuck? See what's happening. So she's cooked. She just stuck. Needed more spray. Oh, this is the jimmies that stuck. So you could try your regular chocolate chip dough. They might release. Glad I only made 2 of them. 4. Oh, I just broke it. Stuck in the center here. I'm gonna take it out. Good to know. This is the ugly one I'm eating. So yeah, that's stuck. All those jimmies stuck, so it needed a bit more spray, but I wouldn't use those again. Ooh, that's hot. She might release. But she's not gonna keep her shape too well. Because she's still warm, maybe she'll come out. So this is where paper cases are helpful. Yeah, we'll just leave them out. Broke that one too. Okay. So what happens if you pipe it when it's still hot? Obviously it's going to, no. This one is a little cooler. Oh, that's pretty. Maybe I don't dislike them as much. But yeah, kind of do. It's a love-hate. So I'm not going to pipe these because there's what's going to happen. You get a nice shape and then it'll be your best one and it will turn into a moat because of the residual heat of the cookie. Now, this will just, I'm just cleaning out the rest of the bag. But I'm not doing any more piping. You could just take a spoonful and pop it in there. It doesn't look as pretty, obviously. Kind of go for pretty, even for family. But I like a lot of filling. Save some for the other ones. So, eat her. Of course, I never really made anything with cheesecake filling I didn't like that I made. Oh, it's good. But you see what's happening here? This is melting, so these need to go into the freezer to blast chill them. I don't really want to put them back in there, but I guess I could. No. Yes. Sure. So I'm gonna pop these in the freezer, bring out the other ones. And here's the other one. They kept their shape. Super pretty. So there's the ruffles you get from that ball tip. I might use a different tip. Oh, sure, let's do that. Let me get these onto the cold. Put that back in there just to hold it. I'm getting this on the cold tray. Yum. I don't stop snacking. I'm gonna have them all et. So you got crumbs, right? I'm not gonna pick those up. If you have crumbs out here, sprinkle them on top for some color. And some jimmies. Looks like a little shortcake. Kind of is a small cake. Now I'm gonna pipe these into one each to show you another flower. Super easy. I mean, technically it's a rosette, not a rose. So, put it off, pop it into your glass. I have no room. Mixer, move. And I don't have a whole lot here, so make sure I do it well. I knew I should have made a double back. Whatever. Make it work, right? So let me get in an angle you can see. Twisting it. Save your hand and use this to provide resistance. And piping a rosette with the closed star tip. It's kind of like a soft serve ice cream. Well, it's exactly like it, except it's cheaper. And then you just swirl up, go upwards, keep it tight. Pop some sprinkles on it in the center. Looks like a cupcake. So if I had put the sprinkles inside the mousse, it would not come through the tip as easily. As I'm sure we've all done at least once. And then when we forgot, we did it again. So what happens if you are stuck and you have some more in there, but you didn't twist it to get a full revolution? Just push it, gather it, start where you left off, go around gently, and push down into the tip with the gathered bag. And then add a star on top. And then eat the rest. You can always cover your work with sprinkles. She's cute. Not as cute as those, I have to say. I need her to go into the freezer so she keeps her shape. This one is not so much. That one I think was the first one. It's all good. They all taste the same, which is delicious. So I hope you try these. I'm gonna put these into the freezer. You do need to chill these for at least an hour before you serve, and it's the last thing that comes out. You don't need to take them out, but 10 minutes before you wanna serve them and put them on a plate. So I'm gonna put these into the freezer for an hour and take some quick pictures. But you can see this is like a really nice ice cream boat. I'm not mad at it. And these are super pretty with the ball tip, the Russian ball tip. I don't like them, but today I do. They actually worked. Okay. Oh, the cheesecake mousse will last a couple of days in the fridge, a month or two in the freezer. Well, a month, maybe two. Depends on if you added anything else. But if it makes it to the fridge or the freezer afterwards, I'll be surprised because these are gonna be gone in a couple of days. So thank you for watching. Have a great week, my lovelies. Bye.